My number one priority when I go to a lake or a pond or a stream is to try to figure out where on that body of water has the most potential for the most bass. Fish finders, they're not going to typically tell you where on the lake has the most fish. They're just going to detect fish whenever one is under the radar or the fish finder. It's the supplemental information that you're going to use that's going to help you the most from a fish finder, like what the bottom consists of, whether it be rock, sand, mud. So that's, that type of information is going to help you more than actually detecting a fish. And typically when anglers talk about finding fish, they're not talking about finding one fish or two fish or a few fish. They're talking about finding either a school of fish or a good population of fish. First thing I do when I go to a lake is I'll basically be a sponge to everything going around that body of water. Look at the water clarity, the color of the water, and I look for bait fish. And all I'm doing is just observing all these things right now. I'm not actually doing anything other than just observing. And I look around. I try to look as much as I can around the body of water from the bank to look for some cover. Pretty much anything that connects the bank with the water. After I've found those areas, I'll observe those areas more thoroughly, and I'll look for life. And if you watch my last video, there's sort of a subliminal tip about birds. And it's not necessarily that birds are out diving and catching fish all the time, because I've only saw that twice in my life, and only one of those times was on fresh water. So I'm not sure if the birds are actually fishing, or if it's because they eat worms, or if they eat a lot of the same type of food as bass. I'm not sure. All I know is that every time I've ever found birds or followed birds, I usually catch some fish. And it's not just birds. I'm looking for lizards, I'm looking for frogs, any sign of life, the creepy crawlers, you got your spiders, and all those sorts of things. Because that's basically a fast food restaurant for bass. Not only the fact that the bass eat those things, but those things are not there just out of just randomly. They're there because they have a food source. So obviously that's going to be a good potential area to be supportive of life. And so I don't see a bass ignoring that area. They're going to at least frequent that area. After I've identified areas with cover, then I'll observe those areas for life. And typically that's all I have to do to actually locate some fish and start catching some fish.
There's a log that comes from the bank and it kind of goes out into the water. Well, just some turtles over there. Those turtles are probably over there eating all those creepy crawlers. And so I'm thinking it's probably a good place to try it out. And so there's a lot of that in this area here. There's a lot of logs coming out into the water. There's a lot of brush. There's even some rocks, which I hardly ever find rocks around here. So, but we're gonna try this place out, and hopefully I'll be able to catch one. Just